So General Strike Summit. I know you've been an advocate for General Strike for a while as well, among the
Yeah,
people and organizing and figuring out how do we fund a General Strike. I think that's really the big question. Is if we're going to do this, I think the truckers honestly are laying out the template now. We've got to get them involved. We've got to stop that flow. And we've got to figure out a way to support them. But now we're looking at what they're doing. They're going after the funding mechanisms, right? They're going after the platforms. They're going after the individuals that are trying to get involved and amplify this stuff and suppress them. Russell Brand, for example, is a great example of that.
yeah. Well, I'll say this about the General Strike Summit. Shout out to Revolutionary Blackout Network. I'm
Agreed.
actually going to be on their show next Saturday. So
Nice.
I know I said on previous week that I was going to be on the show this Saturday, but they're holding their third party summit meeting, which I think is phenomenal.
Agreed.
But I'm going to be on their show, and you know what? Revolutionary Blackout Network has been doing something that is groundbreaking. That is promoting mutual aid and talking about issues that the nation, this country, needs to start addressing, and that is helping each other out and building each other up, and not supporting this two-party system that's going to pander to so many people and lie to so many people. So, again, I'm glad I'm seeing this. I'm glad I'm seeing the rise of organizations or outlets like Revolutionary Blackout Network, like the Mikasa Network, like Jimmy Dore, like Graham Elwood, like Ron Falcone, like so many others. And we need to see more of it. And the thing is, we have to keep ourselves alert on how this environment will change, because we have to adapt all the time to how the rules are changing. Look, we saw The Hill get suspended for 7 days. They're an authoritative source. We saw what happened to the New York Post. They're an authoritative source, but in 2020, if you tried to share that article about the Hunter Biden laptop on Twitter or Facebook, Twitter and Facebook not only silenced the New York Post, but they silenced anyone that was trying to share that article. And now 2 years later, the New York Times is admitting, oh, well, what a shock.
Even in
Turns out
direct
it's
messages, even in DMs, they were silencing people. You weren't even allowed to share it in a DM. You remember that?
Yes, exactly. And this is the environment we're in. We need to see more independent media. And I want to say this to anyone that's a libertarian, a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal, a socialist, a green, a communist, independent, non-affiliate, whatever generation you're part of, the color of your skin or who you worship, whether you're religious or atheist, it doesn't matter. The point is, freedom of speech is at risk here in this country. And in order to have a strong democracy, you need to have a strong free press that's not controlled by corporations. But we can thank the Democrat, Bill Clinton, and his presidential administration for supporting the Telecoms Act, for making our media landscape the nightmare that it is right now. And now big tech is contributing to the censorship. And you have Democrats that are contributing to the censorship. And then you have people on The View, and then you have U.S. Senator Republican Mitt Romney saying that Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard need to be arrested under treason. The Department of Justice needs to investigate them and start doing McCarthy-like witch hunts.
Literally McCarthyism.
Well, it doesn't stop there. When you call for censorship, everyone's on the chopping block. And
Yep.
I know there's a lot of jagoffs out there that are rooting for censorship, that are rooting for silence and suppression. But the thing is, as soon as the channel that you don't like is gone, guess what? The channels you like are also put on the chopping block, because the algorithm is going to hunt down everyone, because you have the neoliberal narrative controlling everyone. All these people that are cheerleading for censorship are also going to be victims of censorship as well.
At some point, look,
you
remember,
cannot have a
don't you
democracy or free press if there's going to be censorship. And the thing is, I get this pushback. Sorry, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. I'm so sorry. But when you have people that are on board for censorship, that are open for the silencing of others because they don't like a person's perspective and point of view, it's only going to create more echo chambers where people cannot communicate. And I will say this right here, right now. There are bad people that abuse free speech. There are individuals that will tell lies and hurt other people and give misinformation. But I believe in this truth that is fundamental in my belief in humanity, that the world is filled with good people, and everyone watching this can come up with your own decision on the information that's given to you, but we need to see all perspectives. And it's important for us to see every point of view with an open mind. Now, we all have our biases. I'm guilty of having my own biases. You're guilty of having your own biases. But there's a point of being a mature person and looking at different perspectives and point of views and coming up with your own conclusion. And there are bad people that abuse free speech. But I believe that the world is filled with good people that stand up to that minority of bad people that are giving misinformation and hate speech. Because when the people step up and say no more, we're on our path for a better future. But I think so many of us have been trained by the political system, by the corporate media, to be obedient little puppies. By being these obedient servants, we're being silent. People just got to stand up and say no more. People got to step up and say, I can make my own decision. We have to build something better. And that's why I'm on board for more independent media networks. I'm on board for more citizen journalists. I want to see the rise of independent people running for office, be they running for third party or non-affiliate. And I want to see movements and organizations that are not connected to that friggin' swamp bubble in Washington, D.C. We have to do something more. You're not, these politicians from and look, I respect Bernie Sanders and the words that he says, but he's a cock, okay? These politicians are not the knight on the hill that will help us. It's you. You're that person.
Mm-hmm.
You're that person. Your neighbor is that person. Your community are those people. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
That's right. Nobody's coming to save us but us.
That's it.
But I was actually going to talk about
That's my mind.
The censorship thing. You know, I remember a year and a half ago or so, Anna Kasparian, she was yelling about censorship, and she was on Jacobin. She was interviewing Professor Richard Wolff, and Facebook cut the stream off midstream in the middle of her calling for censorship on somebody else. And I was like, this is exactly what happens when you do that, you know. And sure enough, it came back to about like literally within a week. It was exactly what we're talking about. So one of the things that I was surprised to learn already tonight is that you worked at Costco. I always want to ask if there's something else that you want to share that people would be surprised to know about you, that you want to share with everybody else, and that you like, that you follow, that you do, something that would be completely out of left field. I see you giggling. You got something there. What do we got?
All right. You want to know something about Kid Cabello? Mona, here you go. Sadly, I lost my chance with Mona. I'll never get it back. Oh,
yes, you did.
There
You
you
certainly blew it. But I know there was
yes,
a lady.
I blew it.
I heard there was a lady in the picture at some point. Is there still a lady in the picture?
No.
No. Okay, we're back to night riding with Kit. Okay, all right, we're back to swiping left and swiping right. Okay.
I'm not part of that right now. Right now, Kid Cabello's sitting on his ass. So here's something that's happening. For those of you who don't know, I was on 3 dinosaur expeditions when I was a kid. 2 to Montana and 1 to South Dakota. I wanted to be a paleontologist when I was a kid. I wanted to study dinosaurs. Maybe when I'm an old man, I could do that as a hobby. Maybe once all the dragons are slayed and all the monsters are gone, there will be no need for Kid Cabello to speak his mind anymore. And what a relief that would be, eh?
That sounds like Jank. Once we've landed the ship, maybe I'll go do that. That's what that reminds me
of.
Don't
compare me to Jank. I don't want to be
Jank. Look, this is 2016, 2017, like when he was still not 100% shit turned and gone corporate guy. When I actually had a closet full of T-shirts for those guys, and again, I was lost too. I mean, there wasn't the rise of independent media, and you didn't know about it, and unless you're like in this world, that's the thing. We have to figure out, how do we break through? How do we get past the noise, the censorship, get past the 100,000 to 150,000 fans of the left? I mean, Jimmy is breaking through now. Russell Brand is breaking through now.
Finally. Well,
congratulations on 1 million subs. Did they drop them down below again?
Technically, hold on. Technically, really, if we're really being honest here, Jimmy should have reached 1 million subs 4 years ago.
Years ago.
He should really be at the bare minimum, and I'm going to be generous with this, at the bare minimum, 3 million. But ideally, he should be at 5 million subscribers right now.
Yeah.
We all know this. We all know this because Jimmy has been screwed over by YouTube a lot. And he has a right to be angry about a lot of things. Same thing as the people at the Gray Zone, Mint Press News, Aaron Mate, Glenn Greenwald. I mean, let's face it, all those guys, especially the teams at the Gray Zone and Mint Press News, have been hit hard by suppression and silence, including Jimmy Dore, who was smeared. You know, I mean, those numbers should be a lot higher.
Everybody we cover.
There's no argument about that.
That's
But
everybody we
is,
cover. That's great. I'm so proud of those guys.
It's just we need to push forward. And I also want to acknowledge something that owners have said. The world needs you, Kit. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing instead of studying dino fossils. You know, Abona, I actually, you know, a long time ago, I found a lot of rare dinosaur bones and fossils back in the day. I do miss it. I was ever enthusiastic. Maybe someday I'll go back to my old. I still have so many dinosaur books here in my library that I occasionally look at, and I just wonder, maybe someday, but it's not today. But there we go. You asked for other secrets or stuff that people don't know about.
Yeah, anything you want to share. That's great stuff. I love getting that.
I never knew this until sometime later, but my family has a lot of connections to Japan that I never knew about.
Huh.
Like, not only do we have like dishware sets and stuff that came from Japan, but my uncle Bernard, who passed away, may he rest in peace, in 2020, was stationed in Japan. I mean, I've got so many relatives and family members that live in Japan. It was really a humbling experience, and especially being in Japan in 2020 before the whole world went upside down, I got a whole new experience and a different perspective what it's like to be in a different country altogether. And I will never forget it. And I will never forget my time, especially at Hiroshima, where I walked inside the Peace Museum. You know, seeing those artifacts of the first atomic bomb dropped. No one in that city or in Nagasaki deserved what happened to them. Those were innocent civilians. And here we are seeing this ridiculous war in Ukraine take place. Have we not learned our lesson? Have we not seen what happens when these weapons are used?
You know, there was
one artifact.
They're talking about a tactical nuke now. What are they? What is it? I forget the language, but they're literally talking about like that they can drop something and it's not going to affect anybody else. Come on.
That's not how it works.
No.
I'll never forget the pictures of the children. Because the thing is, when you walk inside the museum, it seems peaceful at first, but when you see the entire exhibits, you will not walk out the same person. I challenge anyone to go to the Hiroshima Peace Museum. Go in there. I challenge you if that won't affect you. I challenge you if you won't cry. I cried. I was sad. And it stays with me. There was one artifact that stood out, and that was these ink glass bottles. They were fused together. And the one comment underneath the sign was, how hot was it for this to happen? How hot did it get for these ink glass bottles to fuse together? It was unnatural. And when you see the children, the elderly, that were hit with this devastating weapon, every minute that we're alive on this planet, we should be grateful for it. And yet we have these weapons of mass destruction pointed at each other. We have to be better. You know, we had a scare way early on when Hawaii got that danger message about nukes were incoming. And people were afraid and didn't know what to do.
In Hawaii, oh my God.
In Hawaii, of all places, and Tulsi Gabbard was talking about it on the Joe Rogan show, it is a very real danger. We have to be better. You know, I actually walked by the building where the bomb dropped, the hypercenter. You know, there's a skeletal remains of the building. And inside the building, I saw two things that showed me that no matter what, life will go on. There was a flower growing in the middle of the building, and then there was a little kitten right there. Life goes on.
Amazing.
And life is precious. We've got to be better than this. And these politicians and this corporate media that we have, they're lying to us all the time.
Too much.
Another thing too. So here, let's switch and move. When I was in Iraq, my first tour, I was living in the basement before corporate media said millennials were living in basements. I was living in basements before school. I was living in Saddam Hussein's basement in one of his palaces. So that's a thing. And I saw Dean Cain playing poker. He was winning, by the way, and I was doing a foot patrol, and I wanted so badly to get in the game, even though I really sucked at poker. I was like, I think I could take on Dean Cain. But Dean Cain was playing poker. He was there to motivate the troops. He was really great. It was a really awesome time. He was a great guy. Yeah, no, I got a photo of me hanging out with Dean Cain. Yeah, Dean Cain was an awesome dude. So I know he's a Republican or
he went all hardcore right wing, huh? He's Fox News now.
I know, but you know, in his defense, folks, when I was there in 2005, he was a pretty cool guy.
Well, yeah, he's a complete right wing douchebag. But at least to me, he was cool.
At least I'm probably gonna get canceled now, but no, he was pretty cool with me. So there we go. There we go. So and then let's see. I worked at Costco, so Costco treats its workers well.
Yes, they do.
I will give my biased position on that. Costco has treated me well. Let's see. Occasionally I work at the seafood department, and I actually ran into a U.S. senator when I was serving at the seafood show. So what we'd have, like every Sunday at Costco, there would be like a road show. That's what it's called, or like a seafood road show.
Right.
And right. So like, you know, obviously there was the cooked food that was frozen, and then there was the raw food that was frozen, right? And so obviously you had to change your gloves so you don't cross-contaminate raw food with cooked food, because that's not safe for people, right?
Of course.
I'm going to leave the senator anonymous because they are a former senator. But they were adamant for me not to change my gloves. Like, oh, no, just hurry up because I'm in a hurry. And I'm like, no. I got my supervisor right there.
I can't do that. I'll get fired.
No, I can't do that. No, one, I had the store manager there and a few other higher people up there. They were kind of looking at me as like I can't. I'm going to use the Newmanberg defense here. I'm following orders. I cannot just touch raw food with cooked food. And this senator actually had on their head, because I'm not going to give out their gender or anything like that, you know, former U.S. senator. I'm like, get the fuck out. Like, I don't care if you're a senator or not, or former senator or not. I will not cross-contaminate food for you. And this person got really upset with me and started to yell at me, and then complained to one of my managers. And then the store manager, thankfully, you know, came up to me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Look, this person wanted me to touch the raw food with the cooked food, and there's a sign right behind me that says, hey,
I can't do that.
Change your gloves. Change your gloves when you touch raw food if you're gonna go for cooked food." He says, "Oh, don't worry about it. Whatever." Like, they basically heard, like, "Okay, we'll talk to him. Wink. We'll make sure." Wink and do all that. But I was like, "Man, fuck it." It's like, "Yeah, dude, fine, kid. There you go." So there you go. That's some of the stuff we did. And